just managed to defeat in the game previous to this one on the Ted Reeve Arena track. The Ted Reeve Bubble track is delayed at the moment. We're a little bit behind because of an injury that's happened, but everything will work out. If you are actually following along in your schedules, you can look and see that basically everything is advanced by 40 minutes on the bubble track. Everything will be on time here until we get to games 21 and 22, which will be flipped so that game 22 will happen at 5:40, game 21 will happen at 6:20, and that should get us pretty much caught up, I believe. We might be a little 40 minutes behind once we get to game 25 and the playdowns. Pink's Lemonade.
Hi.
Have you had a good time at the tournament so far?
I've had an awesome time, with the exception of watching my teammate wait 30 minutes for an ambulance over in the bubble. That's why we're so delayed over there. That's why I ran in here screaming, because I was scheduled for 2 bouts at once. But luckily, Jack Salotopus is going to take over my in-house announcing and finish my beer for me, and that's what friends are for.
That was very kind of her.
She's just a peach, and her league, Northumberland's going to be taking on the Renegade Derby Dames in the next bout, so that might be the end of the nicest between us. We'll see how things turn out. We might not be friends tomorrow.
That's right. But on this track, momentarily in the pink, will be the host league, the GTAR Greater Toronto Area Roller Derby skaters, the Derby Debutantes, the rookie team in pink, once again, taking on from Royal City Roller Girls, Guelph, Ontario, Canada, Our Ladies of Pain. They have previously appeared at this tournament as the top Hurloins, but Our Ladies of Pain was a house team that was folded a couple years ago, and they decided to resurrect the rookie team under that name, and they are very excited to be playing in this tournament. This is an elimination game, Pink's Lemonade. Whoever wins goes on. Whoever loses is done for the day.
We're sitting behind the camera, but I'm on the edge of my seat. Just trust me.
She actually is. Jam underway. Ziggy Stardust jamming for Our Ladies of Pain. The lead jammer is going to go to the Derby Debutantes. That is number 16, who is Killer Frost. So Killer Frost out first. Lead jammer for the Debs. And Ziggy Stardust
is gaining on her there. 4 points awarded to the Debs, first on the board.
And she gets her hands to the hips just in time to call it off before Ziggy can score anything. So the Debs, yes, taking the lead on the first jam. 20-minute games, basically sprints to the finish. Day is long. It's a marathon to win the whole thing. But each of these games are basically all out all the way. 2 timeouts, 1 official review, and 20 minutes of action.
And there's no time to get sloppy. And I've seen a lot of these games in the bubble, at least, sort of determined by who can stay out of the penalty box more.
That is totally true, especially because in a 20-minute game, a power jam is that much more valuable. Lead jammer going to the Debs once again. Who is that? That's number 4, Skinny Minnie Morgan. Hot on her tail is number 6, Charlie Mean in blue for Our Ladies of Pain. Skinny Minnie Morgan coming around looking to score points. Is she going to get it called off in time?
Looks like Royal was able to scoop up those points before the jam was called. Works out in their favor. 4 points to Royal City now on the board. 2 points to the Debs. We've got 4 to 6 now.
So a little bit of a mistake again by the Debs. This is a fresh meat tournament. All these skaters basically have been skating for about a year. Not many having more than 5 bouts under their belt. And this is a learning tournament. They will be learning more and more about Derby every time they take to the track. Sweet and Salty taking the star for
Mashes to
Royal
Ashes.
City,
Jamming for GTAR. She's at the front there, but pushed to the outside. It looks like if she can make it past this last blocker, she's going to make it out, and she does. Oh, no. Royal City with the lead.
Yeah, Sweet and Salty getting out just ahead of her. Mashes to Ashes had put a nice hit on Sweet and Salty at the beginning of that jam. Looked like she was going to get out, but Sweet and Salty able to cycle herself through the pack first to get lead jammer. Both jammers hitting the pack hard. Mashes to Ashes takes down the back blue wall. 3 points to 4 points. Again, the second jam in a row that the jammer with lead has given up more points than they've gained.
Playing a little risky there, especially with the Royal City girls in the back. You know, that means they're going to be the first to be scored on if the jammers are pretty much neck and neck.
The low-hanging fruit, I like to call it. If your points are sitting at the back of the back, they're easy to be picked.
Exactly. It's, oh, stop, everybody stop. That's an official timeout called by the refs. Skinny Mini Morgan not taking any chances, but that is not a jam.
No, lots of exuberance on the track, but the jam had not gotten underway.
It's better safe than sorry. I watched a game between the Renegade Derby Dames and Forest City wherein the Renegade Jammer left the box as the jammer, forgot she was jamming. Got to the front of the pack and turned around and started blocking.
Oh, no.
You know, we'll laugh about it later. We laughed about it at the time, actually. Skinny Mini Morgan jamming now. Royal City pulling forward.
Ziggy Stardust. That's right. Ziggy Stardust getting lead. I think the stiffest resistance Ziggy Stardust was receiving was from her own wall. She was fighting to get through her own wall, or holding so tight that she couldn't break through. It
happens so often at this level of play, and I've watched skaters today literally throw their teammates to the ground. Sometimes you know, at this, when you are a fresh meat, your brain and your skates don't work at the same time. Your mouth and your skates don't work at the same time, rather. You can't get the words out, so you just say, "Get the heck out of my way."
Roller derby is a game of chaos, and if you've never been on the track when the whistle's been blown, you've got no idea how easily it is for your mind to go blank out there. 12 to 10 is the score. 16 minutes remaining in this 20-minute bout. Our Lady of Pain from Royal City in the lead. Another jam underway.
Mashes to Ashes, pushing up against a wall of blue. Meanwhile, the Queens, a power jam. Our Lady of Pain jammer Charlie Mean sent to the box. That's a use of forearm penalty. Mashes to Ashes, the lead jammer and the only jammer on the track, yelling to her teammates. Again, that low-hanging fruit. Why are you in the back? I want you in the front. I want to pick up these points.
And Pink, you mentioned that power jams can be the key to these games, especially with their short duration. And this first power jam of the game going to the Debs, and that's 5 points already on the board as the power jam continues.
The Queen City girls getting picked off for penalties. There's now only 2 blockers on the track in blue. Mashes to Ashes picks up an easy 5-point grand slam there.
Yeah, it's those failure to reforms. You gotta have the pack. You gotta have skaters within 10 feet of each other in order to play roller derby. Nice move to the outside by Mashes to Ashes. Gets the jam called off. We'll look to her jam ref to see how many points. Nothing scored. Didn't get her hips past the Olop skaters, but the Debs did get 10 points in that jam and did take the lead. It's 20 to 12.
And Charlie Mean unable to score either at the back of that pack when that jam was called. A lot of times in a game this short, it's not even how much you score, it's just how much the other team doesn't. You don't want to get to real bleeds starting there.
This is very true, Pink. Very, very astute observations. I love it. That's awesome. Skinny Mini Morgan looking for a lead jammer for the Debs, but it's going to be Sweet and Salty, who was held up momentarily by a 3-wall of Pink at the black, finding her way through and getting lead jammer. Looks like Scream Queen is going to the penalty box. Happy Days coming out. That'll be the second blocker for Olop, but penalties galore and a forearm penalty again. That's right. So forearms becoming the bane of the Our Ladies of Pain existence.
Keep those chicken wings in check.
Yes. 5 points for the Debs, and the power jam continues. 2 power jams in a row. 4 points on that last pass.
Skinny Mini Morgan making easy work of these blockers. Now that's a 5-point grand slam for the Debs. It looks like a failure to reform being assessed against the Ladies of Pain. Lumberjack Sally.
Yeah, that's going to leave only 902 Vittoria Fonte out there. She basically is the pack in the moment. Tries to put a hit on Skinny Mini Morgan. Bounces off her, and 5 more points go up on the Debs side of the board.
Skinny Mini Morgan didn't even flinch.
No, it's a complete bounce off.
One blocker against me? Fine.
And Sweet and Salty was lead jammer when she went to the penalty box, so this jam will go the full 2 minutes. We still have about 40 seconds remaining. Sweet and Salty able to put 4 points up on that pass. Skinny Mini Morgan coming through. She'll grab 4 points of her own, and both jammers able to score for the remainder of this jam, and there are still 30 seconds left on the jam clock.
Sweet and Salty approaching a wall of Pink here that sort of sandwiches together. Normally doesn't work very well, but she's on the floor, and Skinny Mini Morgan has made her way through again, and there's a lot of noise in here at this home venue as she picks up another 4 points.
Yeah, those power jams really hurting the Royal City skaters. Royal Frost heading to the penalty box for a forearm penalty. An out-of-play block going to Sheila Takya. So that'll lighten the pack even a little bit more. And with only 2 blockers left on the track, the 2 minutes end on the clock. 2 more points for the Debs. They're at 44. Our Ladies of Pain at 20. There'll be a 4-on-2 pack advantage, I believe. Yep. For the Royal City girls when they start with 12 minutes remaining in the game.
And a team timeout called. Looks like it's Royal City trying to see how they can close this 25-point lead by the Debs. Only 8 minutes into this game. They've only got 12 minutes left to sort this out.
Yeah, it's one of those things with these quick little games is you really don't have a lot of opportunities to make those mistakes. And Royal City has made mistakes early on in this game, but there is lots of time for them to come back. 25 points is not a big lead in roller derby. 12 minutes is a long time in roller derby, but when you consider how long the game is, that's only 60% of the game left, and the first 40% has gone pretty much the Debs' way with double power jams able to put lots of points on the board.
Sometimes it's nice just to get a power jam to get your head sort of in the right place. You know, a lot of teams, it takes them a few jams to kind of get their sea legs, both psychologically and physically. And, you know, in a 20-minute bout, you don't have a lot of time to get comfortable and get, what am I looking for, acquainted with the track.
Yeah, I mean, there is no time. You have to basically go out there and go at 100% from the first whistle. Otherwise, you get left behind. Looks like a pivot line start by the Debs. They do not want to get trapped by the blockers from Royal City, so they're setting up near the front of the pack. 4-on-2 pack advantage for Royal City. Ziggy Stardust versus Mashes to Ashes. Mashes to Ashes up against her own wall. Once again, Ziggy Stardust having trouble getting through her own wall. Knocks down Natasha.
Mashes to Ashes passes on the outside of the apex. Usually pretty difficult. A lot of speed in her. Ziggy Stardust coming up again against Royal City in the back. Still makes it through, calls it off before Debs can score, though.
4 points for Royal City. We're just checking to see if there are any points scored by the Debs. And we're checking to see perhaps.
No, she did not make it to that pack in time.
The score currently 45-24. Some discussion going on between the head ref and the jammer ref. Guilo for show is the head ref of this crew, and Roll Kill is the jammer ref for the Debs. But things will carry on.
Maybe they're talking about how humid it is in here.
Oh, it is humid.
Very humid.
Skinny Minnie Morgan stuck at the back. And it's going to be Charlie Mean fighting her way through that 2-wall, getting lead jammer for Our Ladies of Pain. Vittoria Fonte heading to the penalty box.
She knows what she did. You can see it on her face. She's got that face like, oh, I did a bad thing. Charlie Mean skates around her own wall. Debs noticed her, it looks like, just in time. A forearm assessed to a debutante there. Charlie Mean still struggling to get through that path. Skinny Minnie Morgan just barrels through, leaves her behind, and Charlie Mean calls it off.
Yeah, that inside line was wide open. Skips by crazy like a fox. Picks up 4 points before Charlie could figure out to call it off. 4 points aside, and we're going to get an official timeout. Score remains a 21-point gap at 49-28 for the host league, the GTAR Derby Debutantes, with 10 minutes and 24 seconds remaining. Once again, I'm Captain Lou Alabama, joined on the microphone by Pink Slaminade. Pink, good game so far.
Very good game. It's kind of exciting. I feel like maybe this is because I'm part of the, Generation Y, but this is like the Twitter of roller derby. Like, it's just so much excitement. It's over so quickly. Sometimes announcing a game, especially if you got a big spread, you start to get a little bored, but you can't get bored with 20 minutes of play. And luckily, I haven't seen a lot of long official reviews, which is always a huge bummer. The refs have kept it pretty efficient.
Yeah, other than it was not an official review. It was an official timeout due to injury. That was a long timeout, but
it was even longer for misbehaving.
Oh,
it was time to hang tight there.
Yeah, and that was an interesting game in that the Renegade Derby Dames were in the lead, but there was still 33 seconds left on the clock. But the delay in that game was so long that they decided that they were going to call the game and declare the fresh meat team from Renegade the winners. And then even after that 30 minutes had been waited, there was still another 30-minute wait for the ambulance to show up. So poor Miss Behaven was on that track for such a long time, and we can only wish her the best in her healing process.
Absolutely brutal. And she and her teammate fell to an injury right before the last Bombshell Battalion game, actually during warm-ups. And we're just trying to figure out here why we're seeing so many fractures this season from so many different teams. Mashes to Ashes barreling through that pack. Sweet and a Salty squeaks by on the inside. She's your lead jammer for Royal City. Mashes to Ashes. Don't know what happened there, but she's getting brought way, way back by Guelph.
Yeah, it looked like she got popped out of bounds by Red Menace. Red Menace then cycling her back, teaming up with Pinky Swears up at the front of the pack, keeping Mashes to Ashes stuck in that pack. Sweet and the Salty is around on a scoring pass through the pack and picking up 5 points for Our Ladies of Pain. Mashes to Ashes is out of the pack, so Sweet and the Salty will have to be aware of that. The Derby Debs have set up at the back of the pack, so we'll have to see if Sweet and the Salty crashes the pack and tries to call it off. The hands go to the hips. Did she get it off in time? 2 for Our Ladies of Pain, a single for the Debs. So once again, it pays for the jammers to continue to skate, even if they don't have lead, because the non-lead jammers have managed to pick up a fair number of points in this game.
Also, you never know if there's been some sort of signal failure with the call-offs as well. I watched a game in Grey Bruce against Peterborough where we had an outside pack ref start whistling a jam call, and the jammer refs are saying, nope, there's no lead jammer here. And we had a jammer get a cut track penalty because she thought she was going to go back to the bench, jumped right back into the action. Oh, it's a power jam back block addressed against Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, Ziggy Stardust coming into that back wall of Pink a little bit too hard, knocking down a blocker with a back block. That's got impact. That gives you a penalty. Skinny Minnie Morgan fighting against Scream Queen. She's going to get through first. And her jam ref signals she is your lead jammer. Power jam continues as Skinny Minnie Morgan comes around, gets through her back wall of Pink.
Doesn't need a lot of offensive help when you've only got 2 blockers on the track, and she's a very physical jammer, hard to knock down.
And an out-of-play block is going to send the Scream Queen, I believe, to the penalty box.
Ziggy just dives in there to her benefit, makes it out in seconds. Skinny Minnie Morgan now behind her.
Ziggy Stardust about to approach the pack. Looks like Skinny Minnie Morgan going to roll the dice and keep things rolling.
It looked like she was originally going to try and play, run out the clock, but she's just really that confident.
But to be fair, with only 2 blockers out there for Our Ladies of Pain, it's not that difficult for her to get through that pack. A forearm penalty will send number 42. That is Sheila Takia to the penalty box. 4 points for Ziggy Stardust, but on the outside, through again on another scoring pass. Skinny Minnie Morgan finally calling it off just as Ziggy approaches the back of the pack again. Nice strategy on the part of Debs to maximize the amount of time and maximize the points they could get on the board.
Well, they're definitely in the driver's seat in that jam, so I guess they felt like, hey, 0-0, 4-4 doesn't really matter as long as we can make it to the end of this 7 minutes without falling behind.
That's right, and they have been the beneficiaries of 3 jammer penalties committed by the Our Ladies of Pain skaters from Royal City. Those power jams have really been beneficial and have allowed them to break open this game. Charlie Mean jamming for Our Ladies of Pain, and it is once again Mashes to Ashes getting through for lead jammer. Charlie Mean fighting hard, trying to get out the pack as well. She is. Our Ladies of Pain skaters trying to accelerate this pack forward, get their points up at the front of the pack. Mashes to Ashes coming up. She's through her own wall. She's got 1 to beat.
She's not going to be pushed out there.
Calls it off. How many points did she grab before she called it? 3. So Lumberjack Sally able to save her point with an assist by Happy Days. Looks like the smasher roll him off went to the penalty box just at the end of that jam. That'll make it a 3-on-3 pack in the blocking side of things. 70 to 39 is the score. 6 minutes remaining in this game. If Royal City wants to come back, they're really going to have to put a push on now because time's ticking down on the clock. Debs just got to keep doing what they've been doing.
And the Royal City here attempting a pivot line start, much like the Debs have been doing.
Well, you know, it may have worked out well in their behavior. Not only did they get a penalty on Devon Rex, but they got a back block on Skinny Mini Morgan. It's turned into a power jam, something that they desperately needed, being down by 31 points. And now Sweet and Salty is the only jammer on the track, the only person who can score, and she's fighting at the front of the pack, and chops are being handed out by the chop load as more skaters go to the penalty box for failing to reform that pack. 5 points for Sweet and Salty coming through, untouched on another pass. That's 10 on this power jam so far.
A lot of back blocks being addressed at this bout. You know, at this level of play, you never know if the person you're coming up behind is going to be solid enough to stay in their feet. And what I've seen today is back blocks and cuts a go-go. Yep,
absolutely true. It's one of those things that, you know, a year from now, a lot of those black blocks would never happen because there would be no impact. They wouldn't have fallen down, but the newer skaters, tough to stay on their feet. Sweet and Salty getting sent to the penalty box for a low block. So now it's a power jack for Screaming Minnie Morgan.
Wind Pants, meanwhile, camping out in front of the camera, it looks like. Wind Pants, get out of the way.
Just hanging out.
We can see it. We're not sure if you can. Skinny Mini Morgan. Now Royal City really coming together, holding this wall very well, better than they have in the past. Skinny Mini Morgan, you know, again, it's just kind of a waiting game for the Debs with this much of a lead.
So at the beginning of this jam, Our Ladies of Pain had really closed the gap, but Skinny Mini Morgan has basically gained all that difference back. Forearm to number 42. That's Sheila Takia heading to the penalty box.
Couple forearms for her actually in this bout. Oh my goodness, what's going on?
Time runs out on the clock. 4 more points go up on the scoreboard. Power jam is over, but the difference was 31 at the beginning of the jam and was 30 at the end of the jam. Basically a wash.
Everyone's a lot sweatier. Nothing has changed on the scoreboard, really.
So with 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, we get an official timeout. We have more roller derby action coming up on the arena track, the Ted Reeve arena track after this game. We will have the Dirty Farmers from Durham region playing against somebody. I didn't write down who won that game,
G10
unfortunately.
seed loser. Who's G10? G10? Bueller?
G11 loser?
I hear an air horn. Did you hear an air horn? I don't think
hopefully
G10
no
exists anymore. Was that not the Rochester game?
Yeah, no, it's the G11 game, and it should be, I believe it was Fox Force 5 won that game. I was over at the bubble doing something, so I believe it was the Orangeville Fox Force 5. I'll double check that momentarily, just to clarify.
Just stay tuned. It'll be derby action either way. Over in the bubble as we speak right now, we've got the Neophytes from Northeastern Ontario taking on Forest City. Meanwhile, in this jam, Royal City getting a forearm penalty. No, that's the debutante. There we go. Liquored Nixon, rather, heading to the box on her first jam of the bout. It is now a power jam for Royal City. Making their way around, only 2 Deb blockers on the track. That's going to mean an easy 5 points for number 67 from Royal City.
That's Ziggy Stardust.
Ziggy Stardust get it again.
So again, a big opportunity for Royal City to close this gap. They were down by 30 at the beginning of the jam. That's another 5 points going up on the board, now down by 20. Standing in the box is the jammer for the Debs.
Liquored Nixon awaiting her release. Mashes to Ashes, the pivot joining the fray again. That's going to be out of play for the Debs. Another 5 points. Now it's 15-point jam for Ziggy Stardust. Why is she calling it off? Ziggy, no. Don't think that was a scoring pass for Liquored Nixon. I can't help it. I just can't help it.
No, I understand.
I've bench coached too many times. I'm saving my voice today, just going on the mic.
So that was 15 points for Ziggy and Our Ladies of Pain from Royal City, wearing the blue. Closed the gap by half. They were down by 30, now down by 15. We're going to get ourselves an official review on behalf of Royal City. So in these short games, you get 2 team timeouts, 1 official review. Under the new rule set still applies, so if you win your official review, you get to keep your official review. With 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in this game, a good time for Royal City to request something or other. I don't know what they're going to request. Maybe we'll find out from the announcer ref if we get an update.
I was thinking this morning on the drive in today, it's the Fresh and the Furious. Obviously, we know who the Fresh are. It's the skaters. The Furious, I guess, must represent the bench coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
bench coaches, lots of yelling.
It's your job to be furious. A lot of strong opinions, from the bench always, especially in a game that's only 20 minutes long.
So anyways, yes, I did find out who is playing next. The Cannonball Dolls, or Cannon Dolls from Capital City out of Ottawa, they actually beat Fox Force 5. So the next game is between the Dirty Farmers and Fox Force 5. It will be an elimination game, as is this game. So whoever loses this game is done for the day. Whoever wins moves on to play at least one more. And the same thing will happen in the next game you're listening to, which will, of course, be with myself and Pink Slamonade once again on the microphone.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't enjoyed our call, you're out of luck for the next game. If you have, your day's just going to get better.
We await your letters.
The Twitters. Use the Twitters. I don't know if we have a hashtag or not.
Hashtag worst announcing ever.
No. Hashtag FF2014. You may get the Fantastic Four fans getting upset if you tweet that, but that's all right. The Fresh and Furious fans will be able to find you. So the score is now a score adjustment. 5 additional points were put up on the board, so it must have been a missed scoring pass. So it is now a 10-point game with 2 minutes left.
Skinny Minnie Morgan and Charlie Mean barreling up the middle, both head to the ground after this big pileup. Charlie Mean is your lead jammer for Royal City, and we have a lot of volume coming from that bench. Only 10 points to make up for Royal City. Can she do it?
Yeah, and Skinny Minnie Morgan out of the pack as well. Again, it's a 4-on-2 pack advantage. Charlie Mean's going to hit that pack hard.
Oh,
she gets through. Will she call off in time, though? That's a question. She does call it off. How many points did she give up by delaying a 2?
2 points to the Debs.
Those hurt so much when there's so little time.
This is why the bench managers get so furious.
New skaters. It's all right. Charlie.
I know. It's the enthusiasm. And you know what? Like, when you first start, I find the trend is either call it off immediately.
That's right.
Or forget your even lead at all and what that means.
And Charlie Mean is a very new skater. I know that she was just cleared for bouting, I believe, back in May. So she's only been playing for about 2 months on the track. I believe has 2 games under her belt coming into this.
You wouldn't know it. She skates. She's got a lot of skills, and definitely keeps her cool out there, which is something that you don't always see at any level of play, and especially for fresh skaters.
Yeah, absolutely fearless, given her diminutive size out there. More than willing to go up against blockers much larger than herself and wear the star on her head, which, if you know roller derby, means that you are a target for anyone who doesn't have a star on their head, and sometimes the other player with a star on their head as well.
Someone once asked me whether roller derby was just made up of sadists and masochists. I said, well, I guess so. And he asked if I was a sadist or a masochist, and I said, well, I'm a jammer, so draw your own conclusions.
Absolutely true. The masochism of wearing a star on your head is a wonderful thing to experience on the track, I'm sure. It means
something went wrong with you somewhere along the line.
Somewhere along the way. You were willing to be the person who everyone wants to hurt.
Friends don't let friends be jammers.
86-78 is the score. 8 points separates the teams. The Derby Debs in the lead over Our Ladies of Pain. GTAR, the hosts, over Royal City at the moment. 1 minute and 10 seconds remain. Mashes to Ashes going up against Sweet and the Salty. Mashes and Ashes, nice little bump against Sweet and the Salty, but Mashes being held back by the wall of blue. Mashes to Ashes taking an outside line. I believe she's going to get through. Sweet and the Salty held up just long enough. Mashes to Ashes through for lead jammer, and Sweet and the Salty is about 20 feet behind her as they race around the track with time ticking down on the clock, Pink.
50 seconds left to go, so it'll remain to be seen whether Mashes decides to call it rather than let them score or just play out the clock. Her bench is saying keep going.
The pack is moving at a brisk pace. Mashes Ashes gets through. She calls it off. How many points did she pick up? Two and
each.
gave up 2 points. And there's 32 seconds left on the clock as she calls it off. So that means we're guaranteed to get at least one more jam.
Timeout called by Royal City, it looks like.
Yeah, with 26 seconds left on the clock. So 8 points. You need at least 2 scoring passes before the other team can get one. So the defense has to lock down, or they have to get a power jam, one or the other. And the Debs get lead. They just need to kill this clock.
Jam timer doing the classic Vanna White motion towards the Royal City bench. They've really got a shot at taking this, and I imagine you'll see a lot of penalties. Things get desperate. You don't want to take the time to come in behind, you know, and you throw those hits that you know are a bit borderline, but, you know, with 8 points separating in the last jam.
That's right. Everything on the line. If you don't take that penalty, you may end up costing your team the game. So I think you will be correct. I didn't want to say it, but I believe it. I believe you to be. I believe what you say to be true. Penalties will be a-flying in this jam as Ziggy Stardust faces off against Screaming Minnie Morgan. Screaming Minnie Morgan trying to fight through on the outside, being forced out by Red Menace. Skinny Minnie Morgan up against the front.
Ash is the last blocker for her to pass. Can she do it? Skinny Minnie Morgan's going to go to the box. It's a power jam.
And lead jammer has gone to Ziggy Stardust. Huge opportunity for the skaters from Guelph, Ontario. Ziggy Stardust coming up in the pack. She's got to make sure she doesn't get a penalty. She's crawling her way through the pack. Absorbs a hit. Out of play indicated. Mash is going to go to the penalty box for an out of play block. 5 points go up on the board. Our Ladies of Pain down by 3, Pink.
Hashtag worth it. She looks sad, but I think she knew what she was doing there. They do not want to lose. 85 to 88 right now. Debs in front by 3.
That's the game.
One more pass, and she calls it. 5 points on the board. 90 to 98 will be your final score.
So we're going to have to, of course, check the mathematics, because you want to make sure that no adding errors were made at any point in time in this game that would cost one team one way or another. But it looks at the moment like a last jam, power jam by Our Ladies of Pain managed to pull them up and above the Debs. They were down by 8, 10 points, put them 2 points up. It would be 90 to 88 on the final jam of the game. Pink, these are the kind of games you love to watch, aren't they?
I said it before. I was on the edge of my seat, and what an incredible final jam. It was so loud in here. That means the Our Ladies of Pain from Royal City are going to be taking on Les Bouches from Quebec at approximately 6:20 in the bubble. And the Debs are eliminated from the tournament, so all they'll have left to do is drown their sorrows in some of this beer.
And I think all the games have been bumped by 40 minutes in the bubble, so I think it's actually going to be at 7. The game number 24, I believe, will end up at 7 o'clock, just because of the way everything has been so delayed all day because of the injury earlier on. But yes, Our Ladies of Pain surviving just barely against the Derby Debutantes. The Debs having a great game, really using power jams to their advantage early on, building a nice lead, but then coming under penalty trouble as the game came to a conclusion. Couple power jams allowed the Our Ladies of Pain to close the gap, and on the last jam, Ziggy Stardust gets lead, gets a power jam, picks up 10, and lots of happy faces on the skaters from Guelph. And once again, the host league, the Debs, go out two games in a row, 2 and done. But I have to tell you, I'm so pleased that they host this tournament every year. It's a great experience for all the rookie fresh meat skaters from across Ontario into New York State, over in Quebec, all together in one place, learn, share experiences, and play derby all day long.
And we will be back in just a few to watch the Dirty Farmers from Durham Region Roller Derby take on the Cannon Dolls from Capital City in Ottawa. I'm Pink's Lemonade.
Sorry, it's actually Fox Force 5 they're
It's
playing.
Fox Force 5. It's not
Because
Cannondale.
it's an elimination game. No, I know. It's all confusion all the time. Fresh and the
Fox
Furious
Force 5 from
2014.
Orangeville.
So yes, Captain Lou Alabama, Pink's Lemonade. We're going to take a break for, looks like about 6 minutes. And then we're going to right back on the microphone. See you soon.
Penalties, and more penalties. Yeah, who fouled out? Which team had someone
So we're doing this one again, right?
Yeah. All right, what's next?
I was pretty sure Royal City was done.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Not over till it's over. It's tough because both teams have been playing well.
There's been a lot of good derby today, actually.
Yeah.
I always enjoy it when I get to make the forward second point.
Which one was?
Which is Charlie Meade forming a holy roller empire.
Yep.
I'm the most horrible person.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I've got 3 special points when I was like that.
Boys, what's next?
Which one? Next is Fox Force 5 versus the Dirty Farmers.
And then?
And then